Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to get started with this session on priorities for the United States in 2016. My name is Rana Foroohar. I'm the assistant managing editor at Time magazine in charge of economics and a global analyst for CNN, and I'm really pleased to be here moderating this session. And I just want to say before I introduce the panelists that we've actually taken a command decision to throw this a little bit beyond 2016 as well and talk about what the next administration that will be coming in November should be thinking about in terms of priorities for the US in the world as well. So with that, let me get started. I'm going to introduce in order Michael Froman, who's the US Trade Representative, Christopher Coons, the Senator from Delaware, Niall Ferguson, who is the
consumer, gave them choice, gave them accountability, and gave them efficiency. What if we take that same approach to government? We all talk in business about this disruption. Same things happen in politics. Why don't we bring positive disruption to government? Because you know what happens at the end of the day? There's more accountability and more efficiency. If we simply have that debate and a tax policy, I believe the next century, if I was investing, I'd invest in America.
Okay, those are great points. Thank you for setting the stage so well. I'm struck, Neil, actually, by what you said about people becoming Cassandra-like at the end of the day, and I think that that's true, but I also hear a lot of different views, very bifurcated views on the US, depending on what our political situation is going to look like in the next year. So I actually want to take a little poll and ask people, let's put aside a Trump presidency, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but let's assume a candidate aside from Donald Trump. Show of hands if you think the US is going to be in a better economic position next year than it is today. Okay, so about half and half. Okay, dare I ask, Trump presidency, better economic situation next year than this year? Okay. All right, so a lot hinges on what happens in November. But why don't we start, since we are at the World Economic Forum, let's start with economics and how the US can lead on sort of reframing, rebalancing the global economic system, and more particularly the global financial system. Neil, I was also struck by your point that central bankers have had to carry a lot of load in the last few years, not just in the US, but everywhere. They've smoothed out the business cycle. That's now changing. As everybody can see, we're entering an era of more volatility. We still have this sort of system where the US is propping up growth in the rest of the world. Who knew we would be here? We thought the emerging markets were going to account for that. We still have debt bubbles, not so much in the US anymore, but although in some parts of the corporate sector, but you have a huge debt bubble in China. What can the US do, what now, 8 years on from the financial crisis, to actually move forward with rejiggering the financial system, making it safer and more sustainable?
Who do I see as strongest? Change is from, the only thing constant is Trump. I mean, all of them change on the bottom. They're going up and down like yo-yos. But I've been up there for a long time, and I hope I'm going to be up there for a long time. I read a lot of the phony reports, a couple of reports today in the paper saying, oh, well, when Donald Trump gets tired of doing this, he's doing great, and he's leading all the polls. But at some point, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing this for my health. I'm doing this to make America great again.
Mr. Trump,
again is a very important word. Very important word. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
Mr. Trump,
money. I don't need people funding me like the other candidates. I have people coming up all the time wanting to give me millions of dollars. $5 million last week I turned down from one man. I said, I don't want your money. And I think that resonates with me. I really think it resonates.
Mr. Trump, hundreds of people were in line today to see you.
Excuse me?
Sanctuary cities.
Oh, sanctuary cities. It is a disgrace. What happened in San Francisco and other places, sanctuary cities should be defunded and should be just gotten rid of. Sanctuary cities are a disgrace.
What do you suggest Massachusetts politicians do about it?
We'll talk about it. Go ahead.
Mr. Trump, last week you said in one of your interviews that you're a world-class whiner, that a winner. Do you help me understand what you meant by that?
Well, somebody wrote an article that I was a whiner, that I complained. And I said, he's actually right. I